The title, we are talking about how to break free from limiting beliefs and unlock your potential. As you see there, I said this changes everything about what you believe to be possible. If you will, please, family, comment below. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know what you're working towards. I don't know what you're currently building. I don't know what you're striving for. But whatever it is, convince yourself in this very moment, it's possible. It's possible. Like the odds may be stacked against you. The struggle may be real. The challenges may seem overwhelming, but I want you to hold on to the belief that whatever you want, whatever you desire, is possible. You can make it happen. You got what it takes, and it takes what you've got, but you got to believe. That's first and foremost. Again, today we're talking about how to break free from limiting beliefs and unlock your potential. Family, quick question. How many of us in this broadcast, whether you're watching this live or catching this on the replay, how many of us have ever talked ourselves out of doing something before we even tried? I know I've been guilty of that, right? Like you had a dream, you had a goal, you maybe even sat down and mapped out a game plan. But there was this subtle voice on the inside of you that said, you're not ready, you're not capable, or you're not enough. If this sounds familiar, let me suggest to you that you're not alone. This is something that all of us experience. Anytime we think about stepping outside of our comfort zone, anytime we think about doing something new, anytime we think about attempting something that's worthwhile and meaningful, there's always going to be that voice that attempts to rise up in our consciousness, trying to convince us that we don't have what it takes. So many talented and gifted and even driven people hold themselves back, not because of a lack of potential, but rather, family, what I've learned and discovered is that many people often convince themselves that they're not the type of person that can make things happen. Comment below if you will, please. Let's make things happen this week. Let's make things happen this week. Again, what holds more people back more than anything else is simply believing that you are not the type of person that can make great things happen. And again, this is something that we all can relate to. We all can relate to that feeling as if what you're going after is too big for you. What you're going after, you don't have what it takes. What you're going after and what you're aiming to experience and what you're aiming to accomplish, you come up with reasons to try to justify why you shouldn't take the necessary steps. You often feel that you're not ready. You often feel that you don't have the resources. You often feel that somebody that has grown up in the life that you've lived could never experience the life that you dream. We come up with, again, all these reasons to justify why we are not taking action. But the truth of the matter is this. Most people fail in life. Most people fall short with their goals simply because they stop believing in themselves. During this conversation and during this live stream broadcast, we won't be long, but I want to share something with you that will help shift your mindset. By the end of this conversation, my goal and my objective with this particular session is to assist you in seeing yourself differently so that you can open up your mind to new possibilities, so that you can rebuild the confidence that you have in your capabilities, so that you can expand the possibilities in your life, starting right here with what you think and how you view yourself. Because again, this week is full of amazing opportunities and endless possibilities. But here's the truth of the matter. We will miss out on opportunities if we lack belief in ourselves. There's a quote that I often share with leaders where I encourage them to understand that your level of success is largely dependent upon how you view yourself, because you will only rise to the level of success that your self-esteem can absorb. So if you're lacking the belief in who you are and what you're capable of, you'll always leave success on the table because you're neglecting to see the true essence of who you are. Family, comment below again. I know I'm having us comment a lot of different statements, but this is by design. I want this to resonate within your consciousness, ultimately your subconscious, so that as you approach this week's opportunities, many of these things that I'm having us type into our cell phones right now will begin to come and rise to the surface. But I want you to comment below, I can. I can. I can. There's a quote from Henry Ford where he once said, "Those that say they can and those that say they can't are both usually right." In other words, if you tell yourself that you can't do something, then you won't do it. But if you convince yourself that you can do something, then you will. Again, those that say they can and those that say they can't are both usually right. You guys see me on these live streams. Many of you have seen me spoke publicly at events, right? And I'm speaking on stages. I'm delivering keynote addresses. But would you believe that at some point in time, your boy D1 really lacked the belief that that was even possible for me? For years, historically, I told myself, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I could never inspire other people. I could never stand on a stage and speak publicly. How can I encourage other people when I find it very difficult to encourage myself? I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. My story is insignificant. These are thoughts that I have on replay in my mind, family, on a continuous basis. I was in a state where I convinced myself that I could not do something. But to make a very long story short, what created a shift in my life was when I stopped saying I can't do it, but instead I began the process, and we'll talk about that process here in a moment, but I began the process of convincing myself that I can do it. Because here's the truth of the matter. What stunts our progress, family, is not that we can't do certain things or handle certain situations or even thrive in certain environments. But what holds us back from building momentum towards our goals and our dreams is ultimately us convincing ourselves that we can't do great things. And what is needed is a fundamental shift in the way that you view yourself, the way that you see yourself, the story that you tell yourself about yourself, because that story carries the greatest influence over your life. For many of us, you're gifted, you're skilled, you're talented, you're highly intelligent, you've got more degrees than a thermometer, but for some odd reason, you've allowed your mistakes and your past failures to dictate what you believe you're capable of. And because you can't see yourself for who you truly are, you're giving the world a watered-down version of yourself. You're not raising your hand for new opportunities because you're afraid to step out of your comfort zone, because you've convinced yourself, I could never do that. I could never experience that. I could never earn that amount of money. I could never live that type of lifestyle. But again, what is needed is a fundamental shift in the way that you view yourself. As we approach this week's opportunities, family, I don't know what you're working towards. I don't know what you're currently building. I don't know what you're stepping closer to as it relates to your goals, your vision, and your purpose. But whatever it is, I can almost assume at some point in time, there's going to be a voice that tries to convince you, you can't do this. You can't handle this. You can't succeed at this. And before you try to convince yourself that you can't do something, here's the mindset shifts. I want you to ask yourself two simple questions. Question number one is this: do I believe that I can't do this simply because I've never done it before? That's simple. That's simple. Ultimately, what you're doing is this: you're stopping the momentum of a negative thought pattern. You're convincing yourself, I can't do this. Before you allow that thought to permeate your consciousness, you stop it in its tracks by simply asking, well, do I believe I can't do this simply because I've never done this before? Because think about it. The way that your mind is designed is to keep you safe from hurt, harm, and danger. And the way that our mind classifies something new is something that's uncomfortable. And something that's uncomfortable is going to provoke pain. So therefore, your mind is convinced if you try something new, you're going to be uncomfortable. We don't want to experience that pain, so let's avoid it. But by you opening up your mind, by asking a simple question like, am I convincing myself that I can't do this simply because I've never done it before? Now you're allowing your mind to see what's really at play here. And it will begin to open up to new possibilities that can unfold in your life. That's question number one. The second question, here's the ultimate game changer. When you feel as if you're not good enough, when you feel as if you can't handle the next level, when you feel as if you can't do something, ask yourself this question. What skills do I need to learn? And what ways do I need to grow or develop in order for me to complete the task at hand? Think about this. The quality of your life is largely determined by the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves. So instead of allowing an unexamined assumption to stop you from taking action, that unexamined assumption is, I can't do something. You're asking a possibility question, so to speak, where now you're not being stopped by, I can't do this, but rather you're opening up your mind to figure out how you can improve in order to complete the task at hand. This begins to open your mind to new possibilities. Okay, I've never done this before. I'm checking that box off, but here's how I can grow. Here's what I can learn. Here's what I can develop. Here's who I can connect with. Here's the mentorship or the coaching that I can seek out that will assist me in accomplishing the task at hand. Now, what this does is step by step, this is the process of you convincing yourself that you can do something. Because you asking that question will now give you a call to action. Here's the step that I can take in this moment to develop this skill that will lead me to accomplishing this goal. Here's the knowledge that I can acquire that will help me improve and gain the expertise to accomplish the task at hand. Is this making sense, family? Put a number 1 in the chat if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Again, the two questions that we want to ask ourselves in the moments when we feel as if we can't do something is, have I convinced myself that I can't do this simply because I've never done it before? And then number 2, in what ways can I grow or develop or improve in order for me to complete the task at hand? Here's the truth of the matter. I see the ones coming up. Family, what is important for us to understand is that when you stop restricting your capabilities, when you stop putting limitations on your potential, you'll open up the exciting world of greater possibilities, and you'll put yourself in position to expand the quality of your life. But you have to understand, if your eyes, like literally, if your mind does not see the possibilities, your eyes will never visualize or experience the opportunities. That's worth repeating. If your eyes, like if your mind does not see the possibilities, if you're not open to new possibilities, your eyes will never see the opportunities. For many of us, the opportunities for progress are right in front of us. The opportunities for growth and expansion are right in front of us. The opportunities for us to scale our ideas, to build that business or that brand, or for us to make an impact within our community are literally right in front of us. But we can't see them with our eyes because our mind has been blinded by our fears, our doubts, and our insecurities. And we've convinced ourselves that we can't do certain things. Again, what's needed is a fundamental shift in the way that you view yourself. And by you asking yourself possibility questions, now you're going to open up your mind to new possibilities, which will instill a new level of confidence, a new level of courage, and ultimately growth that will give you access to what you're aiming to experience in life. We've said a lot of things during today's conversation, but family, if you don't get anything else out of what we've talked about during today's broadcast, hear me clearly on this. You can do anything you set your mind on. The hard part is not doing it. The challenging part is keeping your mind set on what's possible. Don't allow your pain, your present predicament, or even your past to dictate what's possible. Don't base your level of ambition on your current capabilities or your current competencies. Don't base what you believe to be possible for your future depending upon what has happened in your past. Most people live out of their history and their memory rather than allowing possibilities to lead the way. This week, be led by possibilities. Be led by courage. Be led by the vision that you have. And as you allow that to lead you, it's going to open up new doors of opportunities. And as you open up new doors of opportunities, you're going to realize how powerful, how capable, how resourceful, and how brilliant you truly are. But you have to give yourself permission to step into the new. That's the call to action, family. What gifts are you sitting on? What talents are you neglecting? What ideas have you abandoned? What dreams have you been holding hostage, only just gripping them with your mind, rather than unleashing them in your life? Whatever it may be, take a bold step this week. Stop convincing yourself that you can't do something and start telling yourself that you can, because remember, those that say they can and those that say they can't are both usually right. If you slid into this broadcast and I was unable to give you a shout out, be sure to comment below. And if in fact this is your first time, or maybe it's your first time in a long time, I welcome you and I want to shout you out as well. Put a number 1 in the chat and then place your first name afterward. Again, place a number 1 in the chat and then put your first name afterward. I'm hoping that somebody somewhere found some value from today's conversation and broadcast. If so, please share this out with the people that you personally care about. Again, Facebook, man. Facebook is not tapped in, but for those representing YouTube, be sure to share this out with those that you do care about. Missed a bunch of comments, nothing personal. Rick, appreciate the super chat, brother. Hope all is well with you and the fam. Tell Sandra and everybody else that what's up. Yes, excellent. I see the ones coming in. There we go. No more limitations. That's what I'm talking about, Mia. Again, family, share this out with the people that you do care about. For those watching this on YouTube, hit the like button. It goes a long way in the algorithm. And then share the link out with at least 3 people that you personally know that can benefit from today's discussion. As we wrap things up, if we've yet to connect on other platforms, be sure to connect with your boy. I'm at #1 Gibson. That includes Instagram as well as Facebook. I believe many of us are watching this on YouTube. If you've yet to subscribe, be sure to subscribe to my channel and then connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I frequently get asked how people can contribute to the mission monetarily. You can connect with me on Cash App at #1 Gibson. We truly appreciate your support. And also visit the website, elevationisamust.com, for more information on my speaking and coaching services. And then while you're there, take advantage of all the resources that are available on the website and through the online store. Some are free, again, for the free $99, but definitely going to add value to your life and something that you can invest in, but truly will help you empower your mindset and adopt success practices that will assist you in becoming the greatest version of yourself. With all that being said, family, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this thing up because you got dreams to catch and success to create. So we each got to get busy being great on this amazing Monday. Let's not take for granted this day that we have before us, family. It's a day that we've never seen before, and it's going to be a day that we will never see again. Let's make the most of it. But if you find yourself in a difficult situation or a challenging experience, just remember that this too shall pass. It's only temporary. So don't make a permanent decision that's based upon a temporary feeling or circumstance. I need you to stay locked in this week. You need you to stay locked in this week. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, let's lead with courage. Make a power move. What are you sitting on? What are you waiting for? What have you been apprehensive about? What are the things that you've been procrastinating on that you know you need to take action? Maybe that voice has amplified itself in your mind telling you that you can't do this again. Ask yourself, have I convinced myself that I can't do this simply because I've never done it before? And in what way can I grow or improve or develop in order for me to accomplish the task at hand? Open your mind to new possibilities because, like I mentioned earlier, if your mind doesn't see the possibilities, your eyes won't see the opportunity. You got to believe in yourself. And today and this week is a prime time for you to believe in yourself. There's great things ahead of us, but in order for you to seize this week's opportunities, you got to believe in the power of you. With all of that being said, family, thank you for tuning into today's broadcast. Again, I'm hoping that you found value, whether you watch this live with us or you're catching this on the replay. I appreciate each and every single one of you. If nobody else has told you that they love you today, remember, D1 Gibson has nothing but love for each and every single one of you. With all of that being said, we'll be back at it next week, Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the meantime, be effective, be successful, live with some passion, and most importantly, be powerful. Again, I'm David Gibson checking out. Peace.